Saul and Battery, hosted by
Jeans
and Kelly. Forget what you know. Forget what you know. A Saul and Battery.
Hi, everybody, and welcome back to A Saul and Battery. I'm Kelly at KELLYTHUL on Twitter and Instagram.
I'm Jeans, and I'm at YEUNGJEANS on Instagram and Twitter.
Mine's so much easier.
It
Fewer-
is a little bit.
Fewer letters. Maybe it's because I've said it like 2,000 times.
If I say Young Jeans and everybody spells it YOUNG, like even so, I just go right to the spelling. It's just
Yeah, Tool will do that to you as well. So that's why I want to get the spelling out pretty quick as well. We're joined with a special guest this evening.
yeah. Apparently, she's
lurking around in the back.
Karma.
So, not a bad name for tonight's episode in some ways, too. So, this is season 4, episode 2, entitled Breathe.
Yeah.
And pretty fun episode. And I believe I still have recap duties. Is that correct? That would be yes.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, we'll give that a go. So, Hector is not going to get better. Or is he? Jimmy goes job hunting. Or does he? Lydia lays down the law of Mike. Or does she? Kim totally buries Howard. Kim and Jimmy Netflix and chill. There's some hints of a Hummel caper afoot. And Gus now owns Nacho. There's your... And fish again. We saw our fish again. So. And this is the first one of the shows that Jeans and I are doing with our spiffy new aquarium background, which she can't see until I put the video out. But trust me, it's lovely. It's very pretty. Your background works nicely with it. Mine not so much. I'll work on that. So, your thoughts on the episode in general?
I liked it. I mean, it wasn't, it wasn't packed with all kinds of, fun capers or anything, but it was fun. I like some of them, that sort of set up things for later. And this one was not as slow as some of those can be. So I don't know. I liked it. Yeah. Long story short, I liked it.
Yeah, there's a scene or two I was puzzled by every watching so far. I kept thinking, oh, maybe when I see it again, it'll come together for me a little bit better. But even after repeated watching, so maybe you can help me through the process on there. But well, and it's really kind of the first one. I mean, it's heartbreaking to see kind of Nacho and his dad's relationship. We get a little bit of that earlier in the episode. But then Jimmy goes job hunting, and he goes to a copy shop, and he's his usual super endearing self. He's got the chops. He knows all about copiers, having worked in the mailroom. So he's smoozing with the one guy, winning him over, doing the kind of charismatic thing that Jimmy does. The other guy comes in. He kind of bluffs his way through or just smoozes his way through the interview.
I love the fact, by the way, that like they used like a Cameron lookalike from Ferris Bueller for the copy guy.
He was pretty close.
He did.
And they're both kind of like, in awe of Jimmy to a degree, or at least the incredible kind of ball of energy that is Jimmy McGill. And the interview seems to go well. And they go, well, we have a few other people we need to look at, we need to discuss. And Jimmy walks out, pauses, comes back in and goes into hardcore hard sell. Sure, you could wait for somebody else, but opportunity cost, and I know this stuff, and totally does a sales job on why he should be the guy. I mean, it was compelling. I thought he did an excellent job at it, and
I'd hire him.
he won the goofballs over. Yeah, you can start now. And then he turns around and goes, "You'd hire me now? I don't want to work for you if you'd hire me now. You're not even gonna do any due diligence." And so this scene confuses me on multiple levels. So let's start at the very beginning.
Okay.
Do you think he ever wanted to get that job?
No.
Never. So from the
No.
time he walked in.
No, I think he wanted to appear like he was doing something. I think he thinks that's the right thing to do to find a job. You know, Kim's, you know, mostly laid up. I mean, she's not super functional. And like he said in the beginning, when he was being like super boyfriend, making orange juice and being very sweet. And I mean, you know, they need another paycheck. And so I think he's doing it because he thinks it's the right thing to do. I think he found it insulting and beneath him. You know, if he's not satisfied with the small check that he gets for defending criminals at the courthouse, which is, you know, honestly not that small for a day's work, then, you know, being a copier salesman is going to be lower to him. And I feel like he felt it was beneath him, and he felt it was beneath him even further to be turned down by these guys. And I think he just wanted to be like, oh, is that what you think? You know, I don't think he had any intention of like really going for it with gusto and, you know, at any point.
Because I mean, I think his heart wasn't in it.
No.
But I think he would have. He was kind of like, well, I'm not excited about it, but this is, you know, to your point, this is what I kind of need to do.
Yeah.
And they didn't turn him down. They just said, you know, we need to talk. You know, it was a good talk. We'll get back to you. So it wasn't, you know, we're not interested. And so then I do think
from a managerial point of view with that, by the way.
What's that?
I said you're coming to that with a managerial point of view.
Well,
you're not coming to it as someone who is coming to an interview and like, you know, hat in hand, hire me. That's a different perspective.
Yeah, sort of. But I do think there is a pride thing with Jimmy, and I think he goes, I can totally get these guys to hire me. And then I think he's a little bit surprised when they do. And then he's like, well, I don't really, I want this to go on for a while. I'm not really interested. I want to go through the motions of getting a job, but I don't really want a job. So that's where, boy, it's a lot of energy to put in if you just didn't want that job at all. That's the part that confuses me, is that, you know, go in and blow the interview, or go in and just kind of kill some time. But I do think there's a little bit of the pride thing to say, they're going to think I'm good enough for it, and then I'm going to turn them down.
Well, exactly. That was his point. Was you think I'm not good enough? Not only am I good enough, you're going to hire me, and I'm going to tell you no.
Yeah. And then he went to. So I'm very interested to see how those other interviews went. You know.
Double background checks all around, I'm sure.
Yes, without a doubt. And so that was strange. And then, so the most confusing scene for me is followed by the most rewarding scene, which is Lydia visiting with Mike. So
I have to say, I'm like, the only other thing that I've ever seen her in is A Knight's Tale, and she's the one that works on the armor, and she has an Irish accent. So I keep expecting her to break into a brogue all the time, and she doesn't.
Well, and she's actually Irish. You know, she's putting on a very good American accent.
Yes,
as Lydia, and so her natural thing would be a brogue.
Right.
But boy, she pulls off a tightly wound corporate executive well, neurotic corporate executive well,
and one that doesn't understand common sense.
No.
Which is, sorry.
Yeah. And I don't know. I mean, I guess we know Mike and she does it yet,
Yeah.
but for her to think, well, I'm going to put this guy in his place, and mind tell me what you were thinking, and he is entirely unimpressed with Lydia, and we see that carry through the rest of Better Call Saul and Breaking Bad, and all that. He was never a big Lydia fan. Mike wasn't. I guess really nobody was except Todd. you know, Todd, big Lydia fan. um, but the but it was interesting to see that interplay between the two, and then subsequently Lydia getting on the phone with Gus, kind of throwing her hands up like, "Hey, I tried to have this guy see reason. Um, he's not following, so I don't think he's trustworthy." And Gus is like, "He's trustworthy," and I love it. It's my favorite line of this show, or he was so I just gonna let him steal employee badges all over the place, and uh, Gus is like, I suggest you, if you don't want that, then I suggest you get him a badge. Which is just like, boom. And so Lydia, I think Lydia doesn't know what she's getting into when she gets into it with Mike. So
No, I don't think she understands. And I think he makes perfect sense. I mean, she's only looking at it from a paper trail perspective, not for, like what happens if someone actually busts us on this paper trail. Mike's clearly got an edge on her.
absolutely, because it's that idea of, well, here's this name on the check and nobody's ever seen this person. That's not going to raise suspicion.
Right.
And he brings
Right.
that to her attention.
And not only that, but he does find several things that they need to be looking at anyway. So he's actually doing her a favor because he's working for free. They're paying him with his own money.
Yeah, but Mike does like to do the job, so
Yeah.
it was that was super fun on there. Um,
I do have
so
to really quick because you said that was your favorite line. Mine was during the interview with Cameron when he says my spirit animal is a Gila monster. That was my favorite. I'm like, that's the embroidery on the pillow right there.
yep, and I think accurate for Jimmy/Saul. I'm assuming my Gila monster knowledge is not high, but I guess once they do clamp on, they don't let go. So
Yeah.
So there you go.
Yeah, and I think they have like venom in their saliva too. So there's that.
Okay, very impressive spirit animal. So what's your spirit animal?
Deadpool.
Pitbull?
Deadpool.
Oh, Deadpool. Yeah, that would be. I would aspire to have Deadpool as my spirit animal. Much better than Tadpole, which is what I thought you might have said.
No.
Tadpole, not quite as impressive.
No, not quite. Funny though. I mean, especially from a Deadpool perspective.
Yeah. Not going to get you the job though. my spirit animal's a tadpole. So.
Yeah, well,
I don't think so.
Anyway.
So then, close second favorite scene. Also super, super good. And actually, I don't know, maybe in retrospect, my favorite after all, is when Kim shows up at HHM. And did you notice on the way into HHM that they have their own flag? They have there's a United States flag. There's what I'm going to assume is a New Mexico flag, and then on the other side in Hemblindigo blue is the HHM logo as a flag. I was just like, of course they have their own flag. And
I was gonna say in the vein of the copier interview, I have to say Rebecca reminds me a little bit of Joan Cusack.
Yeah, I could. Are you talking more just
her
kind
voice
of
and her facial expressions, the hair? She reminds me a lot of Joan Cusack.
Yeah, I think delivery of lines, I could definitely kind of see that kind of in the mannerisms and all that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and that actress did a heck of it. I mean, she didn't have a ton of screen time, but she had a a fair amount of things to establish on her time there, and I thought she did a fantastic job. And I don't think we'll be seeing her anymore because with Chuckles gone. I don't know how she married Chuck to begin with, though.
I know. That's a hard sell, man.
Seems like she's kind of all together and wouldn't suffer Chuck because Chuck's insufferable. So I just don't really understand that. But wrapping up the estate with Rebecca, Howard's taking that. And it's like, oh, I'll walk you out. And Kim's like, I need a minute. And so Rebecca leaves. And then she turns and wheels on Howard. And it's a rain of blows. It is just, and at one point you just see Howard kind of go, what do you want me to do? He's totally beaten. He's totally crushed. She just destroys him.
She's the Gila monster in that scene. She just turns on him and chews him up, man, so quick. And yeah, he doesn't even know what to do with himself. He's just, I'm sorry. What do you want me to do?
Yeah, he did. He did not know how to respond to that. He certainly wasn't expecting it, and it just kept dialing up and up and up.
I think she had some very valid points. One is that Jimmy was completely real. I mean, for all intents and purposes, written out of the will, and that the scholarship board that they want him to be on is something that Charles never would have awarded to his own brother. And then having Jimmy go poke around in his dead brother's yard for a microwave or something seems to be a little ridiculous. As far as something that he might want from the estate, it was very insulting, and I'm really glad that he was not there for that, and that she kind of she turned a little barracuda, but it was good.
Yeah. But they were going to provide the truck for him to rummage through the garage. It only had slight water damage, so there could be a good rake in there, Jimmy, with sentimental value or something like that. So, yeah, it was Ray Seahorn, who continues on a string of not getting nominated for a Grammy. Try that again. Whatever the TV award is. Emmy. Okay. Came up empty again. I do not understand, because every season she gets stronger and stronger. But did not get nominated again, which I think is a complete crime. But she shows why she's awesome, because she just wheels on Howard. And I thought Howard, the actor playing Howard, did a great job too, of looking terrified.
A little bit.
Which I'd have been pretty terrified with her coming at me like that. And she's doing it with the broken arm. Super impressive.
Yeah. She definitely. I mean, she just dresses him right down. It was fantastic. Yeah.
And then of course the show ends on a happy note. The new Salamanca crew cruises in. Nacho. Well, it's Nacho and Arturo, but then only for a while, because they come in and Arturo's puffing up big, and he's like, "We're going to ask for 6. You got to have my back." Nacho has his back. There's a little bit of kind of tension between the group.
Yeah, they're asking. They were asking. He wants to ask for 6 kilos. They want to give him 5.
Right.
Because gotta say what you're talking about. Drugs. Yes. They're asking for drugs.
Yes. And there's a disagreement on the value. And Arturo gets, he's like, that's how you do it. They end up getting their 6. Nacho, again with no words, kind of owns the scene with his looks and body English and everything there. Again, just Michael Mando's awesome. So he does that, and then on the way out, like happens from time to time, haven't you been in a circumstance where you get zip tied with a bag over your head and left to expire? That was mean.
Hard to watch. That was hard to when he starts breathing slower in the bag, and that was.
And he's kind of looking over at Nacho, and it was a rough thing. Finished up with Gus informing Nacho that he is now property of Gus Fring, and that can't be good.
No. Well, I think if you remove Salamanca, it's probably fine. But working for both of them at the same time's got to be like a bit of a meat grinder. So
I don't think it's going to go well. And Nacho had told his father earlier in the episode that he's working on his way to get out. Well, this puts a little kink in that plan, I think, that unfortunately. So
I have to say that the shot where Fring's guy is reporting on Salamanca's status in the hospital. He does it twice, but you see Fring in sort of his element at Pollos de Hermanos, and his office is ridiculously anal retentively tidy. Shirts are hanging by in perfect order. They are like 3 inches apart. They are color coded. Everything is so tidy. He's the cleanest, most tidiest, most anal retentive bad guy in the history of bad guys. I love it. Not a wrinkle on him. His pants don't have, I don't know what kind of, like, how much starch they're using at the dry cleaners, but it's a lot. It's got to be really uncomfortable in those pants. His shirts don't have any wrinkles. He's so ridiculously tidy, and I love how they took something that is typically sort of more of a bad boy situation like Nacho, or even Salamanca's nephew, sort of that kind of flashy bad boy thing, and they turned it into like an uber librarian. It is the exact opposite of what you would expect, and it's just, I think it's such a fantastic dynamic with him. That office is just an OCD wonderland.
Yeah, and I mean that's one of the amazing things about the Gus character is that he runs as hard into that space as he does into the the zip tie space. So
Yeah.
whether it's tidy or zip ties, he runs hard in both directions in a big way, which is not good news for Nacho, probably. Yeah, well, and then the cousins were in this. So these were,
For a moment.
again, reverse Easter eggs for you because of your timing into that. Who are these big quiet guys? But that, no worse news for Hector, who they're like, hey, you need to talk to them. They bring in this ringer. Gus brings in this ringer doctor from Johns Hopkins to try and bring Hector along so that he can be the guy who kills Hector eventually, which is always his plan. And the doctor says, well, talking to him is one of the ways to start to help him rewire his brain and all that. And the two worst people on the planet to say talk to them would be the cousins, because just the cousins don't talk. So they make Arturo and Nacho carry on the discussion duties, which get increasingly uncomfortable. They run out of things to say.
Yeah, well, yeah, and his Nacho is like, you're gonna get better, and he's just like, I did this to you, and you need to die.
Very conflicted.
See him on the inside, he's dying a little bit as he has to like kiss Salamanca's ass in this coma. He's just like, yeah.
I loved Arturo. You're looking good. It's like,
I know, right?
No, he's not.
Yeah.
And that's the episode. So we've knocked it off. We did one with our new background. You'll be very pleased to see it when the video comes out. And I think that worked out. And looking forward to talking to you about episode 3 next.
Yay!
Thanks for watching, folks.